Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Gee, I can't figure out how she lost custody or why no one would take her kids and raise them for her. It's a real mystery. Somebody call Scooby and the gang to solve this. So before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Take my kids because I lost custody. This happened a few years ago. My cousin, mid-20s, lost her kids to DHS because of crappy parenting. She literally told her caseworker that she was too tired to take care of her own kids when she didn't even work. She wanted us to foster, adopt them for her until she was able to get them back, which would be never, as she never even tried getting her first two kids back when the same thing happened. We live in a two-bedroom house, my brother, my gran, and I. My brother has Asperger's and can hardly be bothered to take care of himself. My gran's almost 80 and can barely walk, and I spend all my time taking care of them to the point that I can't even get a job because me being gone for the day at work means they have zero help. We barely get by on their government checks every month, but my brilliant cousin figured we'd take in and raise her 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and newborn for her because we're family. Needless to say, we said no. We feel bad for the kids, but we literally couldn't take them just because she was too lazy to take care of them herself. By the way, all this happened just a year or so after she called us up asking if all of them, her, the 2 toddlers, and the newborn on the way, could come and live with us for a while, knowing full well there was nowhere in our house for them to stay. Also, she crashed at the house of everyone she knows and overstayed her welcome and stole from almost every one of them, including other family members. So, we're family isn't going to fly with us. And our second story. I've dreamed of responding like this, and I finally did. I work for an outsourcer that fields calls for a popular coffee chain. I've compared the typical customers I get to the customers dealt with by other departments. Ours are just something else entirely. These customers are in no way relatable. I once had a customer describe in detail for 5 minutes an amazing visit she had, only to end with, "The server threw a straw at me. I've never been treated like that. This was the worst visit ever." So overdramatic. The running joke among phone agents is, if that's the worst thing that's happened to you, we should trade lives. Anyways, I've been there for over a year and finally admitted that I have no value in the eyes of the company, and in our relationship with the coffee chain, I'm less than dung. Friday, I decided that for my last 2 weeks there, I'm done pretending ridiculous demands are reasonable. Cue this interaction via mail. Customer: my employees want to thank you for the mood I was in today. After getting my drink, I put it in my cup holder and pulled away. Driving down the road, I picked up the cup just underneath the lid to get it out of the holder. As I lifted it, the cup collapsed and coffee went all over my car and all over my clothes. I had to go home, change and shower, and I was late to work as a result. Seriously, could you look at the stuff the cups are made of and possibly make improvements to make the cup stronger or more durable? I put a lot of your cups in my car. I always have to pick them up by the top as my cup holder conceals the bottom. I never had a cup collapse like this, ever. My snotty but still kind response: first, I'd like to paraphrase because I'm not sure I understand. I read you feel it is company's responsibility that you picked up a cup the wrong way and then treated your employees poorly the rest of the day. Based on what you wrote, I also understand that you pick up cups by the lip on a regular basis and have never had one fall apart. Yet today you did have one fall apart, and even though this is the only cup that's ever collapsed on you, you want company to review our cup ingredients and the entire process used to make our cups. Based on these things, I'm really sorry for the inconvenience you had when your drink spilled everywhere. Getting coffee all over the place is definitely uncomfortable, especially when in a small space. I can confirm company recommends only picking up a cup from the side and never from the top, as it's possible for gravity to pull the cup downward and cause it to collapse. Of course, since your cup holder swallows the cup as you said, picking up the cup is the safest way possible. To make up for the failure of the cup to withstand handling on Friday, I would like to invite you back for a better experience by sending you some coupons. I know you didn't write us to get coupons, but I definitely want to invite you back for a better visit on us. I've also passed on your concerns about our cups to our supply managers. And our last story. Deadbeat brother stole my car, gets a night in jail he won't forget. I, 21-year-old male, have an older brother, Dave, that's always been a jerk to me. There's only a 1-year gap between us, but he liked to beat me up when we were kids, and he always acted like anything that was mine was also his. He was also somewhat the golden child, which made me miserable. So no surprise I moved out at 18. My uncle's now a retired police officer, and he took me in after I left home. He even hooked me up with a decommissioned Crown Vic. I absolutely love that car. I don't know why, but Dave hated the fact that I had that car. He drove 3 beater cars into the ground while my Crown Vic kept chugging along. Well, after his 3rd beater finally died when he drove it into a pole, he asked to borrow my car. I had a bad feeling and said I wasn't going to do that. He called me entitled and said he needed a car to get to work. I told him to take the bus because I know how he drives and my Crown Vic was off limits. My parents called me after that and told me to just lend him my car. I said I won't, no matter what they say. I rely on the car and need it as well since it's my personal transportation. Dave wasn't the only one in the world with a job he needed to get to. My uncle congratulated me for standing up to them and gave me a high five. A few days later, when I got off work, the car wasn't where I parked it. I called my brother's cell, but he didn't pick up. Then I called my parents and asked them if he took my car. They denied it, so I said I was going to call the cops, and then they admitted he borrowed it because he needed it. I told them he better bring it back right now or I'll have the police looking for him. They called me a jerk and then phoned Dave to bring my car back. He showed back up in the parking lot 20 minutes later. I demanded to know how he stole my car, and he held up a set of police Crown Vic keys he'd bought online. Some were made universal. I told him if he ever stole my car again, I'd have him arrested. Then he had the audacity to ask for a ride home. I told him he made me wait in the December cold after stealing my car so he could walk. He called me a jackwagon before I drove away. After that, my uncle installed a tracking device in the car. When Christmas Day came, I was celebrating with family like every year. The roads were cold and icy, so I had to be careful while driving. By now, you've probably clued in on the title. Yeah, Dave borrowed my car again during the Christmas party. Apparently, he decided he was going to go pick up a friend and figured I wouldn't notice, but I did when I looked out the front window and saw my car was missing. I pulled up the tracking app and saw he was a few miles away, then called his cell to yell at him. Everyone in the party saw this and asked what was going on. I said Dave stole my car again, and my uncle confirmed it wasn't the first time. Dave told me over the phone to screw off and he'd be back soon. I said he better not have been drinking, but he just hung up on me. Well, while I was watching the tracker app, the dot stopped and didn't move for a while. Soon we got a panicked call from Dave asking for help. He'd crashed the car because he couldn't handle the icy roads and he wasn't used to a rear-wheel drive vehicle. So we piled in my parents' minivan and followed the tracker. We found Dave by the road and my Crown Vic nose deep in a snow-filled ditch. My uncle was furious as it was formerly a car of his department, and I was mad as hell at Dave for stealing my car again. My parents wanted me to let it go, but I said enough was enough and was going to call the police. Dave begged me not to because he really had been drinking before he set off and he'd get a DUI. I said he was going to pay me back for my damn car then or I'd sue him. Well, as luck would have it, police were already aware of the accident and were driving in to check on the scene. Someone else had called them, I guess. My parents tried to say that I was the one driving the car and they were just there to help me. I said that wasn't true and my uncle backed me up. In fact, one of the cops that was there recognized my uncle and they had a chat. Then they went to Dave and asked to see his license, which I then found out was suspended after he'd crashed his previous car. Then they breath tested him. He wound up with cuffs slapped on his wrists while my mother was crying and begging the police not to take him away, but the officer just said that she and my dad could get arrested too for lying to police. That shut my parents up. And we got back in the minivan. The Christmas party was ended early and my parents drove me and my uncle home since he rode with me. They didn't say much to either of us the whole drive and just sped away as soon as we were out of their van. They nearly slipped off the road themselves doing that. My brother was let out of jail the next day, and he looked so scared that he was practically crying. The cops there had roughed him up a bit while talking about prison and the crap they'd seen go on there. Dave had actually peed himself during that, and they let him take a shower. That's when my uncle started cracking up and revealed to us that his friends in the department never filed the DUI and just the charge for the suspended license, which was about a $600 fine. My uncle said he just wanted to teach Dave a lesson, and this would be the one and only time he'd ever get help. Dave then apologized to me and said he'd pay to have my Crown Vic fixed and would never touch it again. When it got pulled out of the ditch, the front end damage was actually minor. It needs a new front bumper, a headlight, and a grill. The damage was just superficial, thankfully. My parents have pretty much glossed over the whole incident and act like it didn't happen. Dave said this has taught him a lesson he won't soon forget. I hope he's learned a lesson, since your parents didn't teach him anything about responsibility. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.